Cindy's direction here, which was thinking, a lot of, and then I called them key iterations, the sort of specific things. So I listed a few specific things, like 3 or 4 per each as key iterations, but I called them something overall. So we would have like one thing to call them. There are several key iterations aligned with Getaway Cluster, several that roll up to a research-based user experience. And I was thinking I was shy on calling out UX as a bucket, except that actually that's super typical, right? Like Windows 11 or anybody who's rolling stuff out, they almost always have UX as one of their 3 things. And then they mention a laundry list of stuff that aligns to that. So I forgave myself for doing something that at first I was kind of like shy about calling out UX and bucketing some things there. But actually, when I looked around, that's pretty much how everybody does a big launch.
One of the features out of, we looked at in 14.0. So I think, yeah, this is like, let's take the stuff from 14.0 and then maybe add a few more so that we can hit kind of different areas of press or give our PR team. This is kind of like,
without making it sound like they're scanning improvements, because that sounds like they weren't good before.
Yeah. Let's go with vulnerability management for now. I would agree on that one. And I would say that some of these we did do some press around, and the fuzzing acquisitions was one thing. So if we have 3 for all of these, it looks like we're going to get there, and that's going to be quite a lot of features. So I might constrain it like this. Maybe you can only give out 1.
Yeah, and that would help me with the plan stuff as well, because there are some things like Epic boards that people have been asking for years now, and they finally have, and that's great. But I think, like the milestone burnup charts, that was a 2, and that's helpful. And I was looking through features and actual monthly features that were released in a given month. I mean, that was one of the more important ones, but it's not very exciting. But we can bundle that with some other things and up level it. So that would be
on the integration. I just feel like it's kind of worn out now. But
right, that's what I was saying, is that the fuzzing we already did press on, so we probably will not get another chomp at that. So I think let's go with vulnerability management.
Unreview.
Yada, yada, yada. So the thought here is but also because our entire roadmap is completely public, and because we ship these tiny little MVCs, a new feature will come out, but it'll be not really usable, right? So it takes a while. So if you look back over the past year and say, okay, like what started in the last year, but now is really like a full-fledged feature, what would be coming out of beta, right? Like if we were any other company and we started a beta program in this last year, what would we be announcing as GA at commit? That's kind of my thought on it. I see a couple head nods. What do you think, Cindy?
Yeah, I think I was inclined to group some things to say like vulnerability management, because there were tiny little MVCs all the way along. But if you look at over the course of the year, we went from this to this. It makes more sense to me to highlight that than in any individual little thing. And then the other point.
So this is exactly where this is headed to, is the idea that during the product keynote, and then ideally during Sid's keynote as well, that there's some level of like an announcement that we make that then the press cares about that announcement. Again, really tough to do at GitLab because it's all been around for a while. So we did that with like our Terraform module, right? There was like a community module, but now it's officially supported. So that's the, that can be the line, yes or no, whether you can use the thing for a lot of businesses. So I think that's a good one too.
How are we measuring excitement levels 1, 2, and 3? Is there? I was looking at maybe MAU.
recommend it. I laugh because like what assembly reminds me of is like when I was in like a young child in grade school.
Yep.
They'd have this big stack of like carpet. They were like squares of carpet, and you go into the gym, and you'd pull off a square of carpet, and all the children would sit on a square of carpet, and that was like you'd have an assembly.
Yep.
So that's
I
what
remember that too. Put everyone in the gym, or like convert the half cafeteria gym, take away the big barrier between it so that we can have more room, and then take those carpets that have never been cleaned and just, sit on them, and it'll be great.
Aside from the goofy name, I thought that, and of course we can't talk about any of it on YouTube, but man, that was like a really awesome look back at like, here's some wins and here's some exciting things that we've done. And so I think we just need to get better at this as a company. I think this exercise is an opportunity that I think we do a little bit of that, but this is doing it more. So Samia, you have some questions here?
For CD configure as well as monitor, getting it reviewed from PM. My guess was, or my understanding was that we wouldn't have the same set of competitors that we're going to compare to, but the right competitors for that particular stage, right? So for example, for monitor, we may not have like a GitHub or something like that. We would have.
Man, that's a pretty heavy list. Just looking at it, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and this is something we don't do, which I agree. Like we don't often stop as a company and just kind of look at our wins.
Nope.
Has ADO, Atlassian, GitHub, Jenkins, JFrog, and CloudBees, right? So that may not be relevant for monitor. For configure, it would be a different set of competitors that we need to include, which I think we already identified a while back. I think we identified top 3 competitors for every stage.
Yeah, we tiered them. That's when we tiered them, right? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So this where we are right now is we're looking at just tier 1 competitors. That's probably why I cut and paste them, because those are all tier 1s.
Mm.
So we're just focusing on tier 1 right now. So if they don't apply,
if they have like 0 out of 15, we should call that out. Same with configure stuff or this, any those kind of capabilities.
I think if we took that a step further, it'd be good to even describe it in a way that doesn't just say our product stage, and use like a value-based description of what monitor and configure mean, because otherwise that's not going to do any good for us.
have you guys seen the new infographic that the design team has come up with?
Not yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Do we have a link to that quickly, William? I don't know.
Or you can throw it in the notes if you find it.
Let's see who can find it faster.
I can guarantee it not with the amount of tabs I have open.
Oh my God, that's why I'm like, it probably won't be me.
So this is why I send everything to Google Gmail, because the search is so fast. So I literally have a folder where all of my GitLab pings go, and I can just search for infographic. And
oh, I found it.
Who could link it first?
I found it first.
Oh.
So this is the one. So there's 2. This is the one for the single tool comparison, but then for the but it's gonna look the same.
That's the homework for this weekend. Watch Talladega Nights and come back and we talk about it on Monday in our little social report.
I often say, thank you, little 8-pound, 5-ounce baby Jesus
Jesus
with the golden diapers. I say that so often that I just think everybody has seen Talladega Nights, but then I realize that people that haven't are like, William's really weird. Like,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it should be like market lens. So
Yeah.
in an ideal world, most of them are like, this is what I'm shopping for, this solution.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them might be GitLab only. Some of them might be like competitor only. So that
for now, but then we'll move to tier 2 and tier 3. Then we'll look at those other competitors.
And do we need to add a line item for GitLab as well? Because I think that's the same over here.
Yeah, we should add I think you asked me that before, right? Or someone asked me.
I'm just looking at it.
Brian.
So we made a couple decisions along the way. So one of the decisions was to just go with stages. It would have been like a whole nother layer of, okay, if we don't go with just the GitLab stages, the 10 stages, what do we use? That has to be determined, reconciled, all this kind of stuff. Like we kind of, I don't know how long it's been since we updated. Those pages have like not been updated, but we kind of are just trying to move towards some sort of.
That lends itself to working with, all the co-opetition situations we were talking about.
Yeah, that's the goal. Is we want to generate a helpful asset for the industry. This is not just like marketing shill. This should be like a helpful page. So it's the goal is to have a comparison, comparing DevOps tools, not this is all of our competitors and why we're better.
Yeah.
I think from a competitive mindset, and for me, I'm like, let's go hard. Let's put some red on there and call them. That's just the way I think, right? So, but I brought it up, and for now, we're going to stick with the green. They recommend.
So, I hate it. This one I love. For me, it's I love it or I hate it, right?
I love how you're just like bam.
So anyway, what I'd love in 5 minutes now, and then we can just kind of end the call, is kind of like % secure. Like, this is why we always say mitigate, right? We always say mitigate risk or less risk. You never say no.
We have some leeway with messaging, right? I mean, not everything,
How about just more speed, less risk with confidence?
But yeah, more speed.
The Ricky Bobby and me really did like the no trade-offs though, Parker.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
We can add high confidence or more confidence at the end of your first statement. So it kind of combines all of it. So more speed, less risk, high confidence.
I was just saying confidence is kind of overused anyway. Like I see a lot of competitors and vendors using it. I really like the first one, just more speed, less risk.